Yes, this is already the third week in which I am testing a smartwatch, and perhaps I'm not revealing a big secret by saying that I try to schedule it so that we go from the simplest to the most complex, the most feature-rich watch. And well, we've arrived here now, and this most feature-rich watch is none other than the BlitzWolf Voyager 1, or the watch called Voyager 1, which really knows an incredible amount, turned out very well, is of very good quality. And well, in this video, I will of course tell you everything you need to know about it. So stay with me. This video will again be one where I have a lot to tell you, so for the sake of order, let's go through the usual things. First, we'll unbox, then I'll talk about the watch's exterior, then the specifications, the application, and finally, I'll share my experiences with the BlitzWolf Voyager 1. So, here, unboxing. Well, there's not much in the box. We find one magnetic charging cable, a manual, which is relatively detailed but does not include the Hungarian language. And interestingly, we also find an extra watch strap, which is a bit more colorful, interesting, sporty, and youthful compared to the factory-installed strap. I personally prefer the original, but it's really a matter of taste which one works better for someone. What is certain is that in terms of comfort, it is just as good as the one already on it. Well, besides these, of course, we will only find the watch in the box. But as I usually say, there's really nothing else needed. We can use it as is. Let's talk a little about the appearance then. The first and most important thing to say about it is that we are talking about a very good-looking masculine activity tracker. The casing is a zinc alloy, the display is Super AMOLED, the brightness is 1000 nits, and the resolution is 466x6466 pixels. The screen diameter is 1.43 inches, and the pixel density is 391 ppi. This roughly means that the watch can be used in sunlight, and due to the pixel density, it means that it is incredibly detailed. With analog watches and dials, we get dials that almost appear 3D. So it looks very good. The image quality is very, very good. And overall, the quality of the watch can be considered absolutely good. On the back, of course, we find sensors with which we can measure all sorts of things. I'll talk about this later. And there's also the charging connector here, which is naturally magnetic. We find 3 physical buttons on it. The top one allows us to enter the menu. The bottom one is programmable, so you can assign any function to it. And with the side button, which has a little blue edge, we can activate the sports modes. This watch does not have a rotatable crown, so you cannot navigate the menu by turning the watch buttons, and you cannot select the menu by pressing them. So this can definitely be considered a disadvantage, as this watch is not really usable in wet environments, despite the fact that it is otherwise usable in wet environments. But I will talk about this later. Let's talk about the specifications, and well, there are quite a few interesting things, and I will start with the more interesting ones. One interesting feature is that it has a barometer, and this barometer is really great because if we are, for example, climbing a mountain, running, cycling, or doing any outdoor sport, it's very useful if the watch can include in its measurement the altitude difference we have covered during a given time. This way, it can measure calorie burning much more accurately. It also has a positioning system, which is truly superb and extra, because it essentially supports all existing satellite positioning systems. It can utilize satellites from a total of 6 different satellite positioning systems, allowing it to find satellites very quickly and promising very accurate positioning. As I mentioned, there are sensors on the back, and with these sensors, it can measure the heart rate and blood oxygen level. Here, it's very important to highlight that for both measurements, we can even enable 24-hour monitoring. And obviously, if we are exercising, it continuously measures these values, which are then included in the statistics at the measurements we receive upon finishing the exercise. A very interesting feature is that this watch is water resistant, specifically up to 10 atm pressure. Theoretically, this means it should withstand water pressure at a depth of 100 meters, but practically it doesn't mean we can dive to 100 meters with it. The manufacturer says that you can swim with it, shower with it, and even free dive, which in practice means you can dive to depths of about 1 to 3, 4, 5 meters with the watch. Additionally, the watch has received a certification that officially makes it suitable for diving. It is not only suitable for diving, but also meets part of the military MIL STD 810 standard. I say part of it because this is not an official standard, but essentially a collection of tests in which a variety of tests are conducted. Manufacturers often list the EMIL STD 810 standard in the description, even if the watch does not meet everything included in this description. This watch is like that too, as it does not comply with every description in the standard. But it definitely meets two things: water resistance and dust resistance, scratch resistance and shock resistance. Oh, sorry, it was actually 4. So the watch complies with the standard in 4 aspects, but don't expect it to withstand, for example, direct sunlight, heat, overly salty, acidic, too cold, too hot, etc., environments. But the resistance it has is definitely sufficient for activities like hiking, as it certainly won't get scratched, break, or leak. What other features are there? Well, of course, all the features that are present in an average, normal, cheaper watch are also present in this one. So there is a step counter, a sleep monitor, and a reminder to hydrate if it's been a while since you last drank. There is a reminder if you've been sitting too long while working, prompting you to stand up and move a bit. You can set up numerous applications to receive notifications, and then the watch will send alerts. It's very important to note here that when a notification comes in, you can not only read the header, but also the entire message. The language of the watch is Hungarian, and messages appear in Hungarian with proper accents as they should. So this is a huge plus. And there's another thing that the watch does very well at the NCDM, and it's important to highlight this, which is the Strava synchronization. Because this watch is already capable of synchronizing data with Strava, so you can transfer location data to Strava, as well as routes, pace, speed, altitude, and basically everything the watch measures. And now we'll set the watch aside and move on to the application. So the situation is that the application called Gloryfit is what we can use with this watch, and the interesting thing about this application is that, as is usually the case with Chinese watches, it can be used not only with this watch, but also, for example, with Kospit's watch. So this application was already on my phone. I didn't need to install it. I just had to add the new watch. Before I delve into explaining the tabs, I must note one thing here as well. The application supports Hungarian, and is very well translated. It is clearly not a machine translation, as every menu item is understandable. There is perhaps only one thing that I don't really know what it could mean. Among the sports modes, I found something called spinning, which I don't know what kind of sport spinning is. I haven't tried it and didn't attempt to spin, so I didn't want to measure that. But let's dive into the application. So we find 4 tabs on it. The first tab is the usual homepage where we can see the current measured results. Here the number of steps, the distance covered, calories burned, and heart rate measurement can be seen. The latest value, we can see the sleep monitoring of the last night. And if you are a woman, there is also a chart for the menstrual cycle. There is also something called stress measurement, which I honestly don't know what it means. For me, it always shows calm, which means either I am always calm or the watch doesn't measure anything. On the second tab, there are the sports. In the sports section, we find the map. So this is the part where we can choose which sport we want to engage in and start the tracking. Obviously, tracking is only available where we engage in outdoor sports. So for outdoor running, swimming, walking, cycling, there is no map for indoor sports, because why would there be a map? Additionally, on this side, you will find the section where you can review the saved measurements. Here you can see the route you took on a map, along with the duration, average speed, and similar details. So this is the second tab. On the third tab, you will find the watch settings. Perhaps the most important thing here is the customizability of the watch faces. This customizability means that you have hundreds of different watch faces at your disposal, including ones designed for sports, ones that are stylish and more elegant, and ones that are digital with more visible numbers. On this page, you can set up part of the connection between the watch and the application. Here you can configure access to the address book, set up an SOS call, manage device settings, and perform data deletion and updates. On the fourth page, under the My tab, you will find your personal settings. Here you can adjust units of measurement, workout schedules, third-party services, which include Strava, as well as feedback, permission settings, system settings, and similar options. So this section also contains settings. In everyday use, the most important tabs will be the first and second ones, the home page where you can see the measured values, and the sports tab, the second tab where you can start the measurements. It's very important to mention that, of course, you can start a measurement not only in the app, but also from the watch. If you press this top button here, you select the sport mode. Once you've selected the sport mode, the measurement starts by pressing the go button, and then when you finish the sport, you can stop your measurement by pressing the same button again. Then you can synchronize the data with the app, and you can also perform synchronization between the app and Strava if needed. So now we've reached the point where I can talk a bit about my experiences, because obviously I've been using this watch. I've been using it for a week. Unfortunately, due to the onset of the April winter, I was able to exercise much less than I usually do. So I couldn't make as much use of the watch as I would have liked. I walked, cycled, and performed such measurements with it, comparing it during measurements and cycling with my phone and my cycling computer. There is also a presentation of this cycling computer, and I will indeed post the link here. So I compared both values, and to be honest, I received measurements within the margin of error. It's very important for me to mention that the GPS is very accurate, not only in terms of the distance traveled, but also in providing lane level positioning. In other words, if I was cycling on a multi-lane road, it even shows when I change lanes. And if I went down a street and back, it also shows whether I was on the right or left side of the street. The manufacturer claims quite impressive battery life for the watch, like a 63-day standby time, which nobody cares about, because who buys a watch, then puts it down and checks 63 days later to see if it still has power? Well, there aren't many people like that. We are more interested in how long the watch lasts, with normal use and in sports modes. With normal use and sports modes, the manufacturer claims that the watch can operate for 7 days on a single charge. I've been using it for a week now, and currently the battery is at 53%, which is not bad at all, although I must add again that I haven't exercised nearly as much as I would have liked. So, if you ask me and I had to guess, I would say that with my level of physical activity, the 5 to 6 to 7 days of battery life is indeed likely achievable. As well. And I found that a similar but less capable polar watch, specifically designed for running, costs 70,000 forints, in which you can't swim, you can't dive. It supports fewer satellite systems. Its display is worse, and. So this costs 70,000 forints. For a Garmin with similar features, we would have to pay over 100, whereas the price of this watch is 20. That is 20,000 forints, which means a price under $50, and I think that's incredibly good for the features and capabilities that the BlitzWolf Voyager 1 offers. I recommend this watch to you if, like me, you are an amateur athlete, as it can be used for everyday sports. I do not recommend this watch to you if you are a professional athlete. You should just buy the expensive Garmin watch, as you will need that. However, for amateur or semi-professional athletes, this watch is necessary. It will be more than enough, as it measures everything we might need. And as I mentioned, and for which it deserves a big thumbs up, the Strava synchronization is finally here. So not only can you share your data, but you can also compare it with others' data, and you can see how you've improved over time. In short, everything you can check on Strava, you can now check with the watch's data as well. Under the video on YouTube, you will of course find the link where you can purchase it. There will be the coupon code to buy it cheaper, and there will be a link to the written article where you can find lots and lots of additional information about the watch. Make sure to read it. If you liked the video, subscribe to my channel, and from the 2 videos appearing here, choose another one to watch. You might like it too. Take care of yourselves, and goodbye.